Hello, my beautiful Ear Bud Coven. How are you this morning? How are you doing today? I'm so excited. I have got Jana Stern with me, and she is another psychic. So we're going to get into that, and an astrologer. And you all in the Ear Bud Coven know that I am not great at astrology. I depend on really good astrologers to get me through all the shifts and changes happening in our big world right now, because I am a tarot witch and I can't do all the things. So I'm so excited to have Jana here. And one of the reasons I was looking forward to introducing her to you all is because she looks at metaphysical and energy work through one of the lenses I do around self-care and self-healing and growth, and how you can really connect with your energy system and break through things and create real healing in your life. Jana, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. You have such a lovely energy, and you're clearly been doing this for a while. I can feel that while you're like pushing your astrology gift over here, first of all, you don't know nothing. And also there's a lot to know about the universe, I often say, but also good for you that you know what you know and that you know it and that you don't know everything. I think that's like a really important skill set.
Yeah. Do you find this, because I know you've been practicing for a while as well, it's kind of like you get to the point where what you thought was the information is the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
And then the more you know, it's like the more you know you don't know,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful place to be in. Because then, like for me right now, I'm teaching a lot.
Hmm.
So I learn more teaching, I think, now.
Yeah.
I learn more from my students than I do from books, just the questions they ask.
Yeah, you have to like reconceptualize something every time a question is asked of you
Yeah.
because esoteric knowledge is convoluted and it comes from such a huge quantum space, right? There's so much to know.
Yeah.
So when somebody asks a question, you're like, hold on, let me reframe what it is that is in my brain as reality. How do I make it your reality? In order to like translate that, yeah, you have to fully be like, wait, I'm living in my head in my reality, but I have to like help to bring this into consciousness through these people who are asking me questions. For sure. Of course, I'm with you on that. You learn a lot as a teacher. I've been teaching for many years and I love to teach because I love an audience, got a Leo rising.
Oh,
I don't ever get tired of how it feels to be around other people and to be able to bestow the things that are true for me into the consciousness of others. Because for so long in my life, my truth was denied and suppressed and revoked and all the rest of that. And so it's really nice to be in the energy of people who are like, what else? And how do I learn this? And what do you know? And, studying for 15 years, you learn a thing or two. So it's good.
right. And it is interesting. I relate to that so much, where you come to this path and it can be really isolating
Yeah.
because there are new ideas
Yes.
and you're pushing the boundaries of what you believe reality is. Like
Mhm.
you're diving into energies and you're diving into a way of thinking that can be very empowering, right? To realize that you actually have some control over your destiny, that you
Right.
actually can shift the energy in your life and create and build what you want.
Mhm.
And for me, that was very different from how I was raised. So it was very isolating for a long time to be on the spiritual path.
Sure.
And now, being in this place, it's a place where I find connection instead of
Sure.
isolation. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, especially if you've been on the path a long time. Yeah, 15 years ago, this was super isolating and invalidating. It's triggering for other people when you're like, your reality is fake. They're like, no, it's not. It's real. These are real things. And you're like, nothing's real. Get over yourself. But most people don't get over themselves because we cling to reality. And so it challenges a lot. And it has been in previous years of my life. isolating and invalidating. And also, it has been really empowering. And now that we're sort of seeing this trend move in the direction where spirituality, just like more and more, I don't know when this airs, but as of when we're recording, the North Node moved into Pisces. It'll be there for the next 18 months. So this still applies by the time this airs. But that energy is all about this sort of like embodying. So if the North Node is in Pisces, the South Node is going to be in Virgo. And so it's really about embodying our spirituality and embodying what it means to be spiritual and to use your practices that you've learned in your life. So now that's not only just trending, but it's also astrologically accurate. We're going to start to see more and more people being like, what do you know that I don't know about this spiritual truth that's out there? We need more teachers. We need more people who are learning these things, and more people are going to be curious about it. So yeah, it's good to be teaching, and it's good to be in the mindset as a teacher that you're learning from your students, because the worst teachers are the ones who think they know everything. And the best teachers are the ones who are like, of this wide, large scale thing, I know like this much, and I will give it to you. And then you can go ahead and do other things with it.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a bit about how you got to this path.
Sure. Yeah. So, trigger warning for the lovely listeners.
Mm-hmm.
For your, what do you call them? Ear Bud Coven? How cute
My
is
Ear
that?
Bud Coven. Yeah, because we hang out in our earbuds. Because I really feel like when I'm talking to you, I feel them here. When I'm talking to my microphone at home alone, I feel like I'm talking directly with them. I feel it's quite a privilege to be allowed space in someone's earbuds.
Oh, yeah, I
It's a
agree.
very honored space. So they're my coven where I get to share all my inner thoughts and where they can DM me and email me and talk to me back in this beautiful little container we've made in space and time.
I love it. Well, hello, Kevin. It's lovely to be here. I was a child who was incredibly gifted. I was full of light. I was brilliant and beautiful and light in my energy, light in my eyes, light, just all light.
Mm-hmm.
And there was always a shroud of darkness in my reality. My father is mentally ill. He's been paranoid, schizophrenic, and bipolar my whole life.
Yeah.
And there were lots of complications with that. But as a child, I could hear crystals, I could tap in with spirit. And pretty early on, I started to recognize that hearing voices is basically what my father does. And there was like this pull of like, well, I can't help but hear it, but obviously hearing it means crazy. And so there was lots of stuff that went on. My parents divorced. And then in my 20s and teens, I had a pretty serious eating disorder. In my 20s, I went into treatment. And just before treatment, I had a suicide attempt and I was gone for 11 minutes. And when they brought me back, it was very clear that I had a mission. So I took the mission very seriously, as I do pretty much everything in my life.
I'm really glad that you took the mission.
Me too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, I'm glad I took the mission too. Sometimes I'm like, what the hell did I choose? But mostly I'm grateful.
Yeah, that means it's a good mission. Means it's a good mission and you're doing well. Because if you were feeling like you were on top of it all the time, you wouldn't be stretching, girl. You wouldn't be on the edge and you wouldn't be moving the collective energy forward. And I don't think that's my wisdom because I'm covered in goosebumps. So I think that's coming from somewhere that loves you a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, I do know that. But it's always lovely to hear. So thank you. Yeah, so I chose the mission and I started to dive into spirituality. I started in oracle cards and coming back to my roots with crystals. Now I literally have hundreds, if not thousands, of crystals in my house. I was very lucky. My grandfather was a huge collector, so I inherited a lot of his collection. And then it became a collector's collection and then bigger and bigger. They talk to me, they tell me stories, they sing me songs, they're very bossy. And then I started to dive into esoteric knowledge and hermetics. And I learned something called the life activation, which changed my life and became something of a metaphysician. Started to dive deeper into astrology, which is also part of my lineage. My grandmother she's a Virgo, which like beautifully completes my Pisces axis. She has birth charts of her and my grandfather and my father from the 70s or the 60s, like a long time ago. She's been looking at charts. And it is part of our religion to follow the moon. And so I got deeper into that too. And the deeper I went, the deeper I wanted to go. I started learning about human design. I've put my toe into understanding the chakras and the energy behind each chakra and like all these different things. And as you know, I often say when you open one door, a hall of portals open
Yes.
before you where you're like, oh my God, I can learn so much more about this stuff. So I've put my spoon in or my toe in many of those doors. Sometimes I've sort of stepped all the way in, been embodied in a room, and then stepped back or added it and then put things into my backpack as I carry on my journey. But yeah, I've been doing this a long time. It feels like many lifetimes, but I love what I do. I have a lot of different practices that I do for myself and for clients that are all really based on you need to have a lot of tools in this reality. Some are better than others. I think therapy is a great tool. I think therapeutic language is a great tool. I think somatics are great tools. I think yoga is a great tool. I think pretty much any tool in the tool belt is a good one to have. So I teach a lot about those things and I talk a lot about them. And yeah, just try to help others to understand that it is possible for you to not only have the tools, but as I say about this nodal axis shift, it's possible also to embody those things. It's possible to pay $5,000 for a retreat and then come back and feel like you've retreated and like you want to integrate this information into your daily life and not just be on retreat one time and then hustle and bustle and go crazy in your real life.
So, can you tell me, for the listeners, what's the difference between having a tool and embodying a tool? Because
Sure.
I feel like I understand what you mean, because I see a lot of people who are my clients that I read for regularly or who I work with regularly energetically.
Mm.
And there is a difference between having a basket of tools and using your basket of tools. And I want to hear it through the lens of embodying your tools, please.
Yeah. You can, for example, be in a relationship with another person and know that that person has valid perspectives. They come from their trauma, their experiences, their beliefs, and all of their traumas, beliefs, and experiences are valid. And still, in the moment when they come to you and say something that triggers you, you have the tool to pause and take a breath. You have the tool to center yourself. You have the tool to, do some deep breath work. You know those tools, you've practiced them, but in the moment, you let yourself fly off the handle and say nasty things and do the thing that is harmful to them and to you. But an embodied version would be, I don't like the way I feel right now. I need 5 minutes to breathe so that I can show up here in my best self, right? Or it could be that you know that when you light candles on your altar, you feel good.
Mhm.
You feel like you're connected to your ancestors. You feel like you're in a ritual. You feel like you're in a healthy habit and routine that serves a higher power, a higher self. But then you don't light your candle. And when you
Mhm.
do, you're like, oh my God, why don't I do this more? This feels really good. But then you don't light your candles. And then you do. And you're like, I really ought to do this more. I should shame myself when I don't do it. And then you shame yourself more. And then you don't light them. And then you're going in a cycle of
Hannah,
just,
are you in my brain? Are you in my brain?
and so instead of doing all those things, you could just actually literally light your candles as soon as you think about it. And then be like, that was good enough. And the next time I do it, that will also be good enough. And every minute in between the lighting and the lighting, it is. It is. It doesn't need to be something different. I don't need to be beating myself up that I'm not in a daily habit and routine of something that I want to be in a daily habit and routine of, because the embodiment is about forgiveness when you're not there. So when I was in treatment, we would say a slip is not a fall.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you have a night where you're feeling like crap and you just want to eat the chips. You just want to eat the row of cookies. And that's a slip. But that doesn't mean that you need to go and have every single symptom from there. And it doesn't mean that tomorrow you have to do it again. And it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that for the next 6 months you should beat yourself up that you had one day where you did the thing you weren't, quote, supposed to do.
Yeah.
None of that serves you. Embodiment is really about like, okay, I'm in a body, meaning I have stress, I have experiences, things come up, I'm a person, and I also have my own traumas and things that I've lived through and, programming that I'm trying to deprogram. And the worst thing I can do to deprogram them is beat myself up for not already being deprogrammed because the programming is not my fault. What we used to say in treatment was it didn't take you 6 weeks to develop an eating disorder. So it's not going to take you 6 weeks to drop it,
Yeah.
right? It takes time to build a habit. So if it's 90 days actually to build a habit, so if
Mhm.
it takes you 90 days to build a habit and you slip up on day 2 or day 5 or day 15, okay, you don't start from zero and screw the whole thing, blow it up and go another 25 days. Well, I screwed up on day 15 and what a terrible person I am.
Because that's
Okay,
the programming.
correct.
That's the programming telling you that you cannot heal, that you must stay in the trauma, that it
Mhm.
is not good enough, which
Correct.
then reinforces the cycle. Yeah.
Perfection as the villain to good, right?
Hmm.
Like
I like
perfection,
that. I think you should say that again. That's
yeah,
good.
perfection as the villain to good. Like just
Yeah.
really just being in the way of good is good enough.
Because so many of us, and I speak to us as women because I'm socialized as a woman, right?
Sure, sure.
So many of us have this programming from our culture that we
Mm,
must be perfect, that
yes.
we must be this level of enoughness in
Hmm.
order to be good. So I really like how that frames that perfectionism is the villain to goodness. When you're being perfect, you're actually not being good at all. Because
Correct.
one, you're not serving yourself.
Yes.
You're putting yourself behind what others need from you. You're not being the main character in your life.
Hmm.
You're allowing other people's standards to define your validity as a person.
Correct.
Yeah, I
And
like that. I'm going to hang
I
on to
often,
that saying.
yeah, I often say if you're playing, you're winning.
Another good one.
There are a lot of people who don't play. There are a
It's
lot of people,
surprising.
and that's the thing about the healing journey is like we're always trying to achieve something in the journey. I want to
Yeah.
get to a healed place. I want to heal. There's no such thing. The purpose of the healing journey is the journey.
Yeah.
And you're meant to keep stumbling and reaching these blocks and meeting people on the path who challenge and trigger. You're meant to keep having dynamics with some of the people, maybe not all, but some of the people who might have
Mhm.
caused harm to you.
Yeah.
And how you evolve in those dynamics, how you respond differently, how you allow differently, how you love differently in those
Mhm.
dynamics. That's what your journey is.
100%. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about no destination, it's funny because I relate to that. I was having a conversation the other day with one of my girlfriends because I've been pretty balanced for a while, right? My PTSD has been quieter. I've gotten a little bit less inside the tornado, and so I can navigate things with more ease lately. And so, of course, I don't know if it was the Pluto movement or what it was, but starting in November and then all the way till this January, shift. So almost every crystal bracelet I've worn has broken. And I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Clearly, I've moved through whatever you were helping me with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving right along. And I felt big shifts. And I can see healing work that I've done previously, like things I've let go of and different things I've had burning ceremonies for and stuff. And then things will come up and I'll go, oh, that doesn't feel reactive. Thank you, burning ceremony. That's gone. I can see I've gotten rid of that belief, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, new stuff's coming up. And I was on the phone with my girlfriend. I'm like, well, I must be feeling safe and stable because here's a whole bunch of new triggers I haven't remembered in a while. And she's like, yay. because that's the healing journey. And sometimes it feels like punishment. Like, wait a sec, I was just feeling like a normal person.
Such thing as normal, and who would want to be that
I
anyway, you know?
know.
I will say just like a quick plug, because if you're watching this on video, or even if not, this is what we call the Jana jingle.
Mhm.
I'm always decked out in bracelets, and I have a 20% off code with my friends at Enchanting Earth. They have made a lot of these bracelets that you see on my wrist. They sell rare and unique and beautiful, ethically sourced crystals, which I love. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, if you go check out the link in my bio that says Enchanting Earth, click it, go purchase some bracelets, rings. Oh my, these rings are also from them. Uh,
Mm. Oh, I
yeah, they
like those.
yeah, my moldavite, and I think it's yellow sapphire, and this is called dendritic aquamarine. So yeah, they make beautiful pieces. So if you're in the market for some new crystals or
Mhm.
crystal jewelry, go ahead and check out Enchanting Earth. But yeah, I think with the whole journey, it's funny that you say that about, these new triggers. One of the big theme of my work that I do with my clients, I have a 6-month program called the Resilience Revolution. And it's really all about building that resilience and sitting in that the universe is purposely going to give you opportunity for seeing your growth. And every single time, it is an opportunity for you to pass or fail the test. And when you fail, the next test is to not be angry at yourself for failing. And when you win, yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. When you
Yeah.
fail, it is the opportunity to not be angry at yourself for failing.
Hmm.
Mm.
And when you win, it is an opportunity to not be in what I'm going to say, like gloating
Yes.
energy that
Yeah.
you won,
Yeah.
right? You're not better than because you chose the spiritual thing to do. It's what source wants you to do. So if you didn't do it, cool, you're human, let it go. If
Mhm.
you did do it, cool, you're human, let
Let
it
it
go.
go.
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. Non-attachment, right? Like the
Oh,
true non-attachment.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Love
it's an
that.
adventure, this game.
And this is a 6-month course. Tell me
Also
about
in
that. Tell me a bit about that container. What does that look like for
yeah,
people who are interested in working with you?
it's 6 months of group coaching where we go really deep into many different tools and practices, including astrology and tarot and divination and many different other things, including boundaries, which are the best. We go through each module month by month. I do offer additional one on one coaching if you want that. It can either be monthly coaching or weekly coaching, depending on how much involvement and coaching you feel you need. But we really go through all these different things so that at the end of the 6 months, you feel resilient and self sufficient enough because we're all so intuitive, right? Every
Yeah.
single person on this planet, we're all so intuitive. We all have gifts. We've all been shut down. We've all been suppressed. We are all the witches that could not have been burned. We are incarnations of magic and esoteric wisdom up from well beyond. We are literally stardust. And we've forgotten in our day to day lives. All I do is remind you all of the different ways through numerology, through the stars, through the crystals, through the earth, through the elements, through your own physical body. We go through the chakras and the energetic bodies and remind you of all of the ways that you have been taught not to worship yourself
Mm.
and then to stay in your resilience moment to moment to moment. And then in that one-on-one time, if you choose it, we go deep. There, we're going into your own chart reading. You start with a chart reading where I'm looking at your chart and I'm either sending you a recording of everything that I see, or you and I are sitting in a 2 hour session where we're pulling apart every planet, every aspect, and every house and everything and the transits. And then week to week or month to month, we're diving in. What's got you off the path of that map of your soul? What's got you forgetting who you really are? And how are you engaging with the things in your world? Where are you maybe out of alignment? One of my clients years ago said, and it's stuck ever since, that a reading with me is like a loving smackdown, because I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to hear, that you're ready to hear in a way that's a little bit like, ooh, okay, now I got to integrate that. And so we go deep into all of these different things so that you can really get out of your own way,
Yeah.
because we all have a resilience, and it's really about being that resilience now, because this, you said it earlier, you said when we first began this big year of 2025, it's
Yeah.
big.
It's huge. I
Free.
haven't had shifts like this in a long time, and I'm working all the time, and I'm
It is
seeing
the
it in
12th
all
of
the other
January.
witches I know. Hmm?
It's the 12th of January. We just got here. And we are only at the beginning, because yesterday the nodes moved, which is humongous. Okay. It opens an 18-year cycle. But every, except for Pluto, which moved at the end of last year,
Mm-hmm.
every single collective large planet, which is Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, they are, and they're going to move into new signs. They're going to move into big, expansive spaces where, in some instances, they could be there for 10 years. We're stepping into totally new energies, and they're all happening like boom. By the end of this year, by this time, 1 year from now, collectively, we will be a different humanity, period.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know
So,
you said we're just in the 12th of January. And I think the reason I know it was big was starting at Samhain last year.
mm-hmm.
Everyone I know who's in tune and working, releasing,
Ooh,
owning it, letting it go. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be big. Because all of these really powerhouse women I know are ripping shit up,
yeah,
whether or not they want to.
correct.
Not always by choice, sometimes kicking and screaming. Things have been ripped right from their souls, and tragically.
Yeah.
And they're grounded enough that they didn't go into uh, those spirals.
Yes. That's because we've evolved collectively. That's because we're ready for it now.
Yeah.
And the lessons that we've been integrating and learning and mastering over years, decades,
Mhm.
however long, we are collectively ready for the next level, for this big shift. And it's happening whether we like it or not. And
Yeah.
so this big theme of surrender is hugely important. And that is why the resilience revolution exists, because we're going to need to be resilient to get through this time, because there are still a lot of people who do not want to do the work, who do not want to evolve, who do not want change. And like with love, GFY, you know, I'm good on that. You don't want to do it, but it's happening anyway. We can no longer deny that things have shifted since 2020, since
Yeah.
2021, even since 2024. You know,
Oh
things
God.
have shifted,
Yeah.
and they're going to continue to. And we got to stay in our own, following our own compass. And our compass, by the way, is determined by our birth chart. Who are we designed to be?
Mhm.
Who are we born? Who are we trapped in this body? You take your first breath and you're in it. Your spirit is stuck until the end. I tried escaping, didn't work. Stay where you are. You are where you are. And if you don't like where you are, then you need to work with who you were designed to be, the you that you want to be. And there's lots of
Right.
tools that are available. And can you receive them fully and then embody them?
I like that message too. I really like that. So I'm going to repeat it because what I'm hearing you say is, and I'm with you, that we come into this incarnation with that map of the astrology, with that roadmap of who you are. And if you don't like it, is it because are you fighting against who you actually are
Correct.
and trying to be what you think you should be, or the ideals that were put upon you, or the culturization you were given, or the messages you received from the unhealed people in your life?
Right. The
Because
condition.
who you are supposed to be in this incarnation, that bright spark that lights you up, that person you are when you're giggling uncontrollably, that person who's inside of all of us deserves light and air and breath and to be taken out of wherever you've shoved them. Because that's where you find happiness,
Yes.
right?
Exactly. And it's really the resilience revolution. It's a homecoming. You just come back home to yourself. And at the end of that 6 months, you are equipped to go on whatever the journey is. And so we go through it, like I go through it month to month to month. And at the end, so anybody can join at any time because it's not
Mhm.
linear like healing.
Right. Yeah.
So when you jump in, you're ready to go, ready to start, join us in our group. And then as we move through, there's always more to learn, always more to grow. And I'm always learning new tools. So as I learn, I always teach. I also got certified in EFT, which, if you know what that is, it
Yep.
is a brilliant practice.
Let's
So we
tell
do.
everyone out loud what
Mhm.
it stands for.
It's emotional freedom technology or emotional freedom tapping. And it's
Mhm.
literally tapping on different points of the meridian. So the side of your hand, the top of your head, your eyebrow, side of your eye, under your nose, under
And
your
then,
lip, then your chest, and then the sides of your rib cage. And as you're tapping, you are repeating mantras and releasing things from the energetic body. And a good EFT practitioner will be able to help you pull things out from the root.
Mhm.
And we do that in the group. So, what you're going through usually mirrors what everybody's going through because we're all going through everything together. Again, look up at the planets, it'll tell you what we're going through. It'll express itself differently individually, but usually we're all on the same thread, especially in soul family.
Yeah.
So, we tap together, we move through things together. You can ask questions. I have quite a bit of info somewhere in this brain. I got a lot of knowledge up here. So I share a lot of things. People ask questions. So there's lots and lots of opportunities for evolution and for growth and for releasing and for stepping away from the things that make you betray your true self, that self that does let yourself laugh uncontrollably and feel the light of the sun on your skin and feel what it feels like to be alive and to revel in it, to really just be alive on purpose as opposed to going through the motions.
So, to connect with you and find your course, where do we go, love?
Yeah, you can go to janastern.com. So JANASTERN.com. If you click on coaching, that'll lead you to the Resilience Revolution and give you more information about that. I also have a podcast, which is called I'm Really Into That Stuff. It's a lovely conversation with multiple different friends of mine. I have lots of interesting conversations with different people about how they got to this woo weird world, which I love.
Mhm.
And I'm on all socials. You can find me at Jana Stern Healer. So that's like the best way to find me on all the things.
Thank you so much for sharing everything with us today. I could talk to you for another hour, but I
Same.
think we're at time, right? It's only a half hour or so. We're definitely in the or so end of this podcast. It's been lovely. I feel what you're putting down, girl. It's beautiful. And maybe what I'll ask you is for just one small practice for anyone in the Ear Bud Coven who is having one of those moments where they are just in that shame storm, in that not enoughness, and they don't have a great embodiment tool to reset and to get to a place where it's okay. So if you
Mm-hmm.
could give me one of those, that
Yeah.
would be great.
Actually, I have a really great ebook for this, which if your coven DMs me the word coven, I will send it to them.
Okay.
Um, so the ebook is a breakdown of the chakras. And in it, there is literally a whole list of things that you can understand about your own physical vessel and the energy imbalances that you might be experiencing and how those imbalances might be showing up. And in it, there are lots of tools, including the crystals that you need, the essential oils that you can use, or flower essences, as well as the different colors that you can like start to work with in different ways, and mantras, literally sounds that you can make, and mudras, shapes you can make with your hands that help you to ground in the energy of finding balance in whatever places that you're feeling out of control. So if you have a lot of anger that's sitting in your solar plexus, we want to tap into that energy and embody that. So whatever it is that you're like, I just can't get into my body about it. Understand the body, understand that energetic body. And if you want to know about it, again, send me the message, a DM with the word coven, and I will send you my ebook so that you have it and you can start to use it as part of your practice in understanding your body and your ability to create your own balance inside of your body.
Beautiful. Thank you. What a beautiful gift to all of us. Thank you, Jana. So lovely having you.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna stop recording. Great. That was awesome.